1800 hours Pakistan Standard Time. Assalamu alaikum. This is Radio Pakistan. The news read by Daman Zaman. The headlines. Kashmir Solidarity Day will be observed tomorrow to express wholehearted support of the Pakistani nation to the just struggle of the Kashmiri people for their inalienable right to self-determination. The Foreign Minister has called upon the United Nations and the international community to take serious note of these atrocities in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. In the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, posters with pictures of Prime Minister Imran Khan have surfaced thanking Pakistan for its continued support to the Kashmir cause. The Prime Minister says empowering the general public is the foremost priority of the incumbent government. Iran and Iraq have called for withdrawal of foreign forces from Iraq. On the opening day of the second cricket test match against South Africa in Rawalpindi, Pakistan in the first innings were 145 runs for the loss of 3 wickets at stumps today. And now the news in detail. Kashmir Solidarity Day will be observed tomorrow to express wholehearted support of the Pakistani nation to the just struggle of the Kashmiri people for their inalienable right to self-determination under the United Nations resolutions. The day will also be marked to expose the worst ever oppression being perpetrated by the Indian occupation forces against Kashmiris in the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. On the occasion, Prime Minister Imran Khan will address a public gathering at Kotli in Azad Jammu and Kashmir. A 1-minute silence will be observed at 10:00 hours Pakistan Standard Time across the country. Solidarity walks have also been arranged in Islamabad, Muzaffarabad, Gilgit, and in the 4 provincial headquarters. Human chains will also be formed at Kohala and other important points linking Pakistan and Azad Kashmir. Radio Pakistan, Pakistan Television and private channels will broadcast special programs to express solidarity with the oppressed Kashmiris of the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. The Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi has called upon the United Nations and the international community to take serious note of the atrocities in the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Addressing a ceremony in connection with the Kashmir Solidarity Day in Islamabad today, he said India must allow the United Nations to investigate the grave human rights violations in the occupied territory. The Foreign Minister said people of the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir are in extreme misery as India has unleashed a reign of terror against the innocent people, which is a clear violation of the United Nations resolutions. He said operating under the draconian laws with impunity, the Indian occupation forces are committing unspeakable atrocities to silence the voice of the Kashmiris and break their will. The Minister for Information and Broadcasting, Senator Shibli Faraz, has reiterated Pakistan's diplomatic, political and moral support to the Kashmiri people in their just struggle for their inalienable right to self-determination. He was addressing a news conference along with the Minister for Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan Affairs, Ali Amin Gandapur, in Islamabad today. Shibli Faraz said the Kashmiri people are being subjected to inhuman atrocities and have been deprived of their fundamental rights. The Foreign Office spokesperson Zahid Hafiz Chaudhry says the Bharatiya Janata Party regime in India has issued more than 3 million fake domiciles to non-Kashmiris to change the demography in the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Addressing the weekly news briefing in Islamabad today, he said besides killings and torture, thousands of innocent Kashmiris are being kept in illegal detention to suppress the freedom struggle. He said Pakistan's missions around the world will arrange seminars and also engage the international media to highlight the atrocities and human rights violations being committed by the Indian forces in the occupied territory. The spokesperson said illegal actions of the Indian regime are a clear manifestation of state terrorism. In the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, posters with pictures of Prime Minister Imran Khan have surfaced on the eve of the Kashmir Solidarity Day being observed in Azad Kashmir, Pakistan and the world over tomorrow. According to Kashmir Media Service, the posters displayed by Jammu and Kashmir Liberation Alliance thanked the people as well as the government of Pakistan for showing solidarity with the Kashmiris on the day every year. The posters inscribed with slogans, "Thank you Pakistan, thank you Imran Khan for effectively raising the Kashmir issue at all global platforms." The posters reiterated that Kashmiris will continue their struggle till the achievement of the goal of freedom. Meanwhile, the Hurriyat leaders Shabbir Ahmad Dar, Abdus Samad Inqilabi, Abdul Ahad Para and Jammu-based Sikh leader Narinder Singh Khalsa in their statements in Srinagar hailed the sincere and pragmatic approach of the Pakistani government and its people to highlight the Kashmir dispute globally. This is Radio Pakistan. Prime Minister Imran Khan has said the entire focus of the government is to provide relief to the common man, chairing a meeting to review the steps taken to bring down the prices of essential commodities in Islamabad today. The Prime Minister said the price of wheat flour affects the poor people the most. The meeting was informed that the business community is appreciative of the government's economic policies. Various proposals were furnished during the meeting to bring down the prices of essential commodities. Apart from the administrative measures, the proposals envisage use of technology to ensure transparency and discourage exploitation of the growers. Prime Minister Imran Khan says empowering the general public is the foremost priority of the incumbent government. Addressing a briefing in Islamabad today, he said the main objective of reforms is to create ease in the system and to ensure provision of justice in all spheres. The Prime Minister directed to pay full attention towards the solution of the problems of the common man and said the system of punishment and retribution should be introduced. The United States has urged India to hold dialogue with the protesting farmers for resolving the issue of farm laws and recognize their right to peaceful protest. Talking to a news channel, the American State Department spokesperson said protesting farmers should also be given internet facility for access to information as it is their fundamental rights. Meanwhile, in India, the protesting farmers have warned the Modi government that it will find it difficult to stay in power if the new controversial agricultural laws are not repealed. Addressing a big gathering of protesting farmers at Jind in Haryana, the leader of Bharatiya Kisan Union, Rakesh the Cat, said we have so far talked about repealing the farm laws and the government should listen carefully. Iran and Iraq have agreed to fight against terrorism, setting goal of $20 billion American for bilateral trade and urged withdrawal of foreign forces from Iraqi soil. A high-ranking Iraqi delegation headed by Foreign Minister Fawad Hussain met with the Iranian President Hassan Rouhani and called on senior officials in Tehran to discuss the expansion of bilateral ties. The Iranian President Hassan Rouhani said Tehran opposes any foreign intervention in Iraq's internal affairs. The Palestinian presidency has praised the position of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia under the leadership of the custodian of the two holy mosques, King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, and the Crown Prince in support of the just and legitimate rights of the Palestinian people. The spokesman for the Palestinian presidency, Nabil Abu Rodana, said in a statement that the kingdom's position in the United Nations Security Council is an affirmation of its adherence to the Arab Peace Initiative and its commitment to peace as a strategic option to achieve the principle of two-state solution. And now cricket. On the opening day of the second cricket test match against South Africa at Rawalpindi, Pakistan in their first innings were 145 runs for the loss of 3 wickets at stumps today. Pakistan lead the two-match series 1-0. And finally, the weather. Cold and dry weather is expected in most parts of the country, while very cold conditions are likely to prevail in the upper parts in North Balochistan during the next 12 hours. Fog is likely to prevail in northeastern Punjab during morning hours. And that is the end of this news bulletin. For more news and analyses, log on to our website, radio.gov.bk, and you can also watch the live video streaming of our bulletins on the link facebook.com/Radio Pakistan News.